You've been consistent all week, and then a social comes up that you actually care about. Not a random thing, not a quick pint, but a proper occasion. One that you've been looking forward to for a long time. And suddenly you're torn between these two things that you don't want to compromise on. The physique and living in the moment. Well, here's how I handled it. So for us, it was our wedding anniversary, and we've had this sushi place on our list for a long time. And with a 3-year-old and another one on the way, we don't really get a lot of time together. So this means a lot. And that anticipation adds a little bit of pressure because you want to enjoy it. And then when you're sitting down, you're opening up the menu, you just want to be present to enjoy the occasion, order whatever you want, and then just make the most of it. But then there's also that little voice in the back of your head, the one that's been quiet all week with how consistent you have been Monday to Friday. And the one that's telling you, you've just done an 8-week cut to get lean for summer. Don't blow it all in one night. And that voice of mine is right. And it's getting louder. Because even like me, if you've already decided your path, you can still feel a little bit torn. Because on the one side, you don't want to restrict because of the occasion. But then on the other, you don't want to ruin the progress that you've just made. And you know what an unplanned night out does to you. It could be the hangover, it could be the guilt of overindulgence, or just the thought that in the end, the social wasn't really worth it. Now, most people are stuck somewhere between these two. But there is a third option, and it starts well before you walk through the restaurant door. So, like I said, we'd known about date night coming up, and I already had decided that I wanted to go all out at this sushi spot. I've just finished an 8-week cut, which I've documented in full in a separate playlist that you can watch here, or by clicking the link below. So for me, this was a bit of a 2-in-1 treat and celebration. I'm already used to pulling back food from that cut. And so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, I reduced my carbs and fats to create a deficit. I didn't touch protein. I've kept it at 2 grams per kilo of body weight, as that's my daily minimum for both satiety and muscle retention. But by pulling back on carbs and fats, I'm doing something called calorie banking. Now, from these 8 weeks that I've just done, I know that my maintenance calories are somewhere around 2,700 calories. So if I had a piggy bank and 2,700 calories or coins each day, all of that equates to 18,900 for a week. I can choose to spend those same 2,700 each day, or I could save some and put them into my piggy bank for a later date. In my case, the sushi night. You can do this saving however you want. You can set a fixed daily budget to guarantee it, or you just flex it around life. And I had to do the latter. With some days, I was saving more than I was on others. Monday, I saved 766, Tuesday, 275, Wednesday, 783, and Friday, 752. So each day, I'm eating well below my maintenance, and that is adding to my pot, my piggy bank. Thursday, however, was a little bit different. So whilst I did pull back on food to save some calories, I also went for a run, just to make up for the smaller banking on Tuesday. And those calories I burnt running also contributed to my deficit if I don't consume the equivalent number of calories after that run. So Thursday actually gave me 1,200 calories. Come Saturday, I had a normal day's eating. Breakfast and lunch were normal meals, and then that evening I walked into the restaurant with nearly 4,000 calories banked. And that is why I could comfortably go all out and order whatever I wanted as an absolute noob to sushi, nigiri, sashimi, bento boxes, and I didn't track any of it. I didn't need to. Even if the meal came to 3,800, I'd have been at maintenance for the week. Because sushi is lean by comparison to pizza or burgers, so you just got to bear that in mind depending on your social and your circumstances. But I had earned that meal by planning ahead and making space for it. I spent all of my allowance in that meal, but I shared the bento box and the house rolls with my wife, and I know from experience and educated guessing that that meal puts me around 2,500 to 3,000 calories, all fully appreciated and definitely worth it. Now for Sunday, it was just back to normal, up to maintenance calories, and then that morning when I stood on the scales, I knew I would be heavier, and I was, nearly 2 kilos heavier, but it's not fat. Because that spike in the scales was the alcohol, the salt, the increased carbs, and then just the general volume of nearly 4,000 calories in a single day. And you can see by Monday, 48 hours later, that had disappeared. And that shows you two things. One, it shows you the problem with weighing yourself once per week, every Sunday, because Sunday weigh-ins is a single snapshot of your week, as is any other day. But the problem with Sundays is it's likely to show you the impact of Friday or Saturday night socials you've had, not the discipline you've had Monday to Thursday. And it also shows you how much scales fluctuate and that you don't gain 2 kilos of fat overnight when you actually look at the bigger numbers. So take your emotion out of this and just think about the logic. Socials are only a threat to your progress if you don't plan around them. Had I gone into this meal having not changed my calories Monday to Friday, that 2,500 calorie meal would have equated to over 3,000 calories a day as a weekly average. And that's how you enter a surplus, gain fat, and then struggle to show the physique you're training so hard to build in the gym. But because of the banking and saying that it was around 2,500 calories, that means I actually ended the week with some of my bank left over. And if I spread that 1,300-ish across the week, that's around 185 calories a day. 185 below maintenance every day after everything that I've run through and that giant meal. So that means I was technically in a deficit and lost fat that week. And that is one way in which this is done. Now, I covered this method and 2 others that you can apply in your own fat loss with my 4 weeks of free coaching. You'll get your own targets, so there's no more second guessing. You'll learn how to manage socials like this so that you can enjoy them guilt-free. You'll know how to spot and break plateaus so that you have the answers when you face them. It's the whole shebang. The framework I used for my 8-week cut, but based around you and your numbers. And the link to that is down below. And that's it for this one. That's a little insight as to how, with a little pre-planning, you can enjoy yourself and make the most of socials and still keep up that consistency for a sculpted physique. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this useful, then hit that thumbs up button and I'll see you in the next one soon.